With a deadly hurricane rampaging through Florida tonight, the president decided not to cancel a political rally in Pennsylvania where he could bask in the adoration of his fans. After a mandatory opening line about thoughts and prayers for Florida, which the president read in his teleprompter at the beginning of his speech, he later spoke from the heart about what really matters to him about Florida.
Remember, we won Florida. Remember, early. It was early. We won by a lot. Won Florida by a lot. Remember? The red, right? The red, beautiful red. I never liked red so much.
When President Barack Obama held a campaign rally 6 days after a hurricane hit the East Coast, Donald Trump then tweeted, "Yesterday, Obama campaigned with Jay-Z and Springsteen while Hurricane Sandy victims across New York and New Jersey are still decimated by Sandy, wrong exclamation point." American citizens living in Puerto Rico are still decimated by last year's hurricanes, but tonight the president pretended that his government faithfully takes care of all Americans after hurricane damage.
We know when Americans face hardship, we support each other, we stand with each other, we care for each other, and we will always pull through. It will be successful.
Joining our discussion now, Yamiche Alcindor, White House correspondent for PBS NewsHour and an MSNBC political analyst, and Jonathan Capehart is back with us. He's an opinion writer for The Washington Post and the host of WNYC Radio's America on the Line. He's also an MSNBC contributor. And Yamiche, are you aware of any reporting from the White House today indicating that anyone considered canceling the rally in Pennsylvania?
No, in fact, the president said that because there were people lining up and waiting for him at this rally, he felt that he had to go do this. When really, in fact, the president loves rallies because this is the place where he can feel safe. This is the place where people can shout his name. And this is the place where even though you hear from him for an hour and a half, he's not all saying that much news. In fact, Fox News, which has covered the president's rallies live, has actually decided that they'd rather just have regular programming and will say that they will come back to the rally if he makes news, which they didn't. So, in fact, the moment to again gloat about the fact that he got Brett Kavanaugh on the Supreme Court, and also to tell people that he won the women's vote when, of course, in fact, he did not. He won the white women vote. Hillary Clinton won most women's votes.
And, of course, Jonathan, he's lying about people. He said people were lining up last night, 24 hours in advance. There's absolutely no evidence of that. No one's been able to find a person who did that. There were no people doing that. Let's take a look at the Senate race in Pennsylvania, the state Donald Trump decided to go to tonight to campaign. And we see Democrat Bob Casey at 50% in Pennsylvania. And the Republican Lou Barletta, who President Trump has campaigned for repeatedly, is all the way up to 33% in the latest poll. And so it's not easy to come up with a justification for being in Pennsylvania tonight.
Well, I think Yamiche put her finger on it. The president likes rallies. It's the equivalent of, recharging his batteries, all the adulation and the applause and the cheering. He trots out his greatest hits, gets the crowd to chant about the wall and lock her up still 2 years after the election, although last night they chanted lock her up over Senator Dianne Feinstein. But anyway, this has, I think, less to do with the race in Pennsylvania than it has to do with the overall effort of the president trying to gin up, keep the base wound up, keep the base energized after the Kavanaugh confirmation fight, and to remind them that he's out there, he's fighting for them. He's throwing so much red meat out there. It's not just Kavanaugh. He's trying to back out. Democrats are the party of crime, telling the people in the arena and whoever might be watching either online or on television that the Democrats, if you elect them, they're going to open up the borders, they're going to blow up the deficits, they're going to let criminals into the country. And that plays well to the fear and loathing crowd. But for a whole lot of people in the country, this greatest hits mantra of the president, I think, is becoming tiresome. We'll know for sure come election night.
And Yamiche, are Republicans on Capitol Hill in leadership positions who are really trying to calculate how to hold on to the Senate or possibly how to hold on to the House? Would they prefer that Donald Trump stay home on a night like this or stay home generally?
Well, really, it comes down to where he's going to go. If you're in a place where a Republican needs a boost, there is some thinking that President Trump's endorsement helps Republicans and helps people talk about the fact that he does have a lot of popularity with his base. But if you're looking at a place like, let's say, Nevada, where there's a very clear line, and Hillary Clinton won that state, you don't want Donald Trump anywhere near there. You don't want him talking about the wall. You don't want him talking about social issues. The same is true in California. There was a governor's debate this week, and the gubernatorial candidate would not say President Trump's name because he didn't want to be associated with him. And it took 47 minutes for President Trump's name to even be mentioned in the debate, and it was the Democrat doing it. So there you have a Republican saying, I don't want any parts of that.
But, Jonathan, the problem for these candidates who would prefer that Donald Trump not come to their state or not come to their district, Republicans, is this thing called television. So when Donald Trump is on television with his completely out of control fans and they're screaming, lock her up about someone new, lock her up about Senator Dianne Feinstein, you can't keep that television out of your state where you're hoping Donald Trump doesn't come.
Right. No, you can't. The president, no matter where he is a constant reminder of to Yamiche's point, if you're in a district where they love the president and he won it by a lot, great. They love to hear it. But for a vast swath of the country, constantly being reminded that this person in tone and temperament is contrary to everything that you stand for and believe in. If you're running for Congress, if you are a Republican in a purple state or a purple district, you might want to run around your district and do something to the power grid so that people don't hear anything from this guy until November 6th.
Yeah, because
or through November 6th, I should say.
Yeah, because Yamiche, there is that question of, is Donald Trump stimulating his base for turnout, or is he stimulating the opposition for even greater turnout every time he has one of these rallies?
Well, I'll say this, having gone to several Trump rallies in the past couple months, there's this interesting thing when you ask Trump supporters who are women whether or not they actually support the president, whether or not they agree with some of the stuff that he's been saying about the Me Too movement or mocking Dr. Ford. There are Republican women who go to Trump rallies who then cringe. And I've seen some reporting on Twitter today that NBC News interviewed a couple Trump supporters who said they're not sure they're going to vote for him in 2020. And again, these are people that would go to a Trump rally. So that doesn't look good for the president.
Yeah, in a lot of the small towns that the president goes to, the Trump rally is the biggest show that's going to come by. So some of that audience might not be as enthusiastic as the president thinks. Yamiche Alcindor, Jonathan Capehart, thank you both for joining that discussion. Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on the button below for more from The Last Word and the rest of MSNBC.